Hey, what is going on YouTube? This is Robert, and today I am bringing you a video that is definitely very different from my norm because of the topic and subject at hand. However, at the same time, it is an area that has been spoken about and mentioned so many times. It's probably way above what I can even imagine as far as comments are concerned and messages are concerned that I've received from people. Because obviously it's been brought up and spoken about a lot, you can probably tell what it is in relation to change over the last 2 or so years, and that is going to be about my weight, but probably more specifically my health and my well-being in general, which can go from everything from how I look to, you know, like how I act or how I am or whatever across the board. And it's just everything all together combined, because I know a lot of people have been wondering and questioning and almost worried at the same time, which I do appreciate, as to how I am, basically, because it is a drastic change, more so in the face, I would say, than anything else. But yeah, so I thought for once I would take the time and the effort, which this is basically going to span about 8 weeks of me covering everything that I can. I'm going to take like the most time possible, I feel, leading up to before I like upload it or something, in order to give it the utmost detail and the utmost effort and care, because topics like this are quite sensitive in general. But that's just so that I can cover everything and be as cautious as possible, basically. So yeah, let's begin in short and segue into my spot. No, I'm kidding. Could you imagine how terrible that would be? To segue into like a sponsor or something on such a serious like subject or topic. I can genuinely imagine people out there do that though. Like they'll take something like this. What is going on with the lighting? But they'll take something like this that is really serious, and they'll just be like, so let's talk about my sponsor today, and they'll offer like a food supplement or something like terrible. And oh god, anyway, let's just go into this. I feel like I have to be as jovial almost, or as light-hearted as possible about things because of the fact of how serious they are. I feel that if I take it in the way as serious as things have been, then it makes it a more different tone to the video, which I'd rather not have. I'd rather try to keep it as light-hearted as possible, whilst also providing the sort of serious extent that things have gone to. So yeah, this is fun. There's also going to be something mentioned that I haven't really told a lot of people, just not really been a thing, which I'll split the video into chunks in order to cover that. So yeah, let's get straight into this anyway, and me from the past almost, because I'm recording this after I've already started recording bits, but me from a few weeks ago can take over anyway. So yeah, and because obviously I do cover quite serious topics in relation to this, that's what my description will be, and probably my comment as well, or pinned comment, will have things in relation to. So please, if you are suffering or having like any issues in general, please do seek like medical help or just help from friends in general. Speak to a friend about it, even if all they're saying is like, yeah. It's better than nothing, genuinely. So yeah, anyway. Okay, so I thought I'd sit more in a weird position for this next part, almost like a storytelling position while we've got scenic things going on, I suppose. Because I feel like I need to have multiple angles for this video to take it from and to talk from different perspectives of, in order to go through everything. So let's go through the long and the short of it to just intro this after the intro, obviously. So in 2017, it was more so mid 2016 when I was kind of not being happy, to say the least. But 2017, I had taken my weight and I was like, this is bad. Now I know in comparison to a ton of people out there, it might not be the worst in the world. It might only be a fraction compared to some. I can understand that. I can, you know, appreciate that some people have had to lose a lot more, but at the same time, you know, it's what I had to end up losing and going through. So it was 2017 and I wasn't really happy with myself, plain and simple. I'd seen my brother go through this, like a similar transformation, which I might put pictures up of. And, you know, I was extremely proud of my brother because of the effort that he went through and everything that he did to do it, because he's a very hard-working individual, I will be honest. He's like a grafter in the end. Like, he really, once his mind is set on something, he does it. I'm kind of hit and miss, you know. I can set my mind on like a goal, But the time frame for that goal is like an ETA, you know. It's not like it's fixed position, it's kind of like it's drifting around, you know, it's not like it's there. So yeah, with that in mind, it was, you know, 2017 had come and gone. I was happy, but not happy with myself. So then 2018 rolled around. I got like a box logo crew neck from Supreme. You know, I was happy because it fit me quite well. I'd taken my Christmas video that I've done ever since and have tried to keep doing. I remember looking at the thumbnail and looking at myself and thinking, wow, like, your face is so inflated, so inflated. It's squishy. It looks like someone could do that and just like pull pieces off of it almost. Like, yeah, I just was not happy with myself at that point in time. So 2018 comes to a close, and in my mind, I'm like, okay, things have got to change. They do. They've got to change. Things have got to improve and get better, and something's got to change. So during 2018, I started the process of changing my diet. You know, I changed what I was eating, because to be honest, my diet wasn't amazing at that point in time. I was eating poorly, to say the least. Those are choice words. Poorly is a very kind way of putting it. So I changed my eating habits. I changed what I was eating. I went back to playing tennis more frequently, from once a week to twice a week. I then started going walking a little bit, and some light exercise here and there. I'll be honest, I used to like do like a push-up or two like every couple of days, because I thought, well, at least I could do one, because you're pushing like 60 to 70% of your weight in the end, so it's good. And they are very hard to get into, but I was like, yeah, this is fine. Now it slowly, you know, started to come off, as you see by the end of 2019. There's a difference. 2020, more so the same, 2021, and so on and so forth. You know, it's been a slow, but, you know, change is quite dramatic in the end. Now, I'm not going to say that it's easy, because it's definitely not. It's very easy to slip back into old habits. It's very easy to fall back into how you were eating and doing the things that you were doing. It's very difficult to change your whole routine and what you do in life to sort of revolve around this idea of, I want to lose weight. Now, at my worst, that I weighed myself, you know, this is when I actually had like the gall and the guts to actually weigh myself. I was just about 255 pounds, American, obviously. I was 18 and a bit stone, basically, for people who know that metric. Now, I believe at my worst, I was probably more than that. I was probably 260 to 270. It's not brilliant, I know. Really isn't great in any way, shape or form. But sometimes when people distribute between height and weight, they're kind of like, well, 6 feet to that, you know, it's not the worst. You could only be like a little less and it'd probably be about right. But that's because in most cases, those people are also more muscle than smooth. I was smooth at the time, is the way to phrase it. Like, I reached the point just before I was at like, where you get like layers going on. I was just like, I didn't have that. I was just smooth. I was like a smooth piece of like clay or something, or dough. That's what I was like. I was just smooth all around, and it just didn't look great. Now, I'll be honest, I don't have the, I wouldn't say strength, but the, I don't know, fortitude mentally to show pictures of myself without my shirt on. Because I know in the past I've done things like I've gone swimming or different things like that, but I'm not a person who's very happy, you know, in that way. So because of that, I'm not going to be like, here you go, here you go, here you go, here you go, you know. I know that there are a lot of people out there who do. They show their progression in that way because it really gives a full scope of things and how things were and where they are now at. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just not one of them. I'm sorry to, you know, but you probably see the difference here. So yeah, I then started to exercise more frequently, you know, twice became like 3 times to 4 times a week, as well as like tennis. I then picked up badminton and was playing that, and it really helped, you know, lose the weight in general. So in 2021, I was about 12 and a half to 13 and a bit stone. I basically, you know, went from that to that. I just kept, you know, going between the two. In the end, I was either 12 and a half one week, the next week I was 13 and a bit, then I was back down, then I was back up, you know, and it was just a scale that I was constantly going up and down between. Now, as of now, I am a lot lighter than that, I will be honest. I believe I'm about 9 and a bit stone at this current point in time, which is about 61.5 kg. I think that's 133 to 135 pounds. So I am quite literally half the man I was at that point in time. We've just got an ad. Great. 20 seconds, what? I didn't even realise how many ads they show. That was like 7 ads in 30 seconds. Like, this is turned into like Twitch level. So yeah, as I was saying, I am genuinely half the person I was in terms of weight, you know, I am half the amount. Now here's the thing, to be honest, just saying it for those who are looking to lose weight, wanting to lose weight, in the middle of losing weight, maybe you've relapsed and gone back, it's okay, genuinely, it's okay. I did the same, I fell back into bad eating habits, I lost my motivation, I didn't want to get up and do things, I didn't want to move around, I didn't want to do anything, I didn't want to go anywhere. You know, I get it, I understand, it's hard, it's really hard, and the temptations and things are there. But here's the thing, you don't have to completely change your diet like horrendously, you really don't have to. As long as you are just eating within there, like at least some healthy things, because it all does revolve around and begin in like the kitchen in the end, as people say. You know, that's where the main side of losing weight and getting into shape, or whatever you want to do, even if you just want to lose a little bit, you don't want to be, you know, Hercules or Adonis, you know what I mean, like you just have to do little and often, that's it, just tiny bits, tiny little changes. You can set a goal of 5 years, it took me that amount of time, it's perfectly fine. You don't have to say in a year's time I'm gonna be like 50 pounds lighter. If it's the next year and you're 30 pounds, 25 pounds lighter, good, great, honestly, congratulations. Because there's no rush to these things. In my mind, taking as much time as you need is the best thing in the world, because it gives your body time to adjust, because changing things drastically gives a high percentage of you going back to where you were at. I spoke to somebody recently actually who was explaining it, the whole side of if you lose that fat quickly, your body is more likely to go back to recouping that fat and going back to that stage because you did it in such a quick time frame. Whereas if you go slow and steady, it doesn't give your body that opportunity to almost jump back over that hurdle or roll back onto that point in time. So take your time, honestly. I had it in my mind from like 2015 that I wanted to lose weight, and it didn't happen until 2018 that I started to actually realise how bad it was and that I needed to actually do it. Not only for myself, but also just for those out there who watch me. I know that not as many do nowadays as they used to, but for those who have, I've seen people say that it's motivated them and it's made them want to, you know, try at least, and I'm glad that I can at least help, if it's 1 or 2 people, just be motivated into doing that, because yeah, it's a good feeling to hopefully help some people out there. But yeah, take your time, there's no rush, set your goal, 1, 2, 3 years where you want to be at, maybe even a 5-year plan of it. I didn't anticipate or have in mind that it was going to take me that long, but at the same time I'm not angry that it has done, because I'm happy that I'm here now and just feeling better. I know mental side is very difficult to tackle, but you know, they intertwine, it's one of those things. So, but yeah, all I can say is that take your time, do your best, you know, there's no rush, set your goal, whether you write it in a notepad or something, whether you just keep it in your head of where you want to be, you've got it, you know. Light exercise, you don't have to go running a marathon, that's not needed. You can walk, walking is one of the best things for you out there, and yeah, like, just take your time with it. As I've said, it's okay, you can do it, you've got it, honestly, like, you can do it, like, you really can, you've got it in you. But yeah, set your goals. If your goal is a marathon, go for it, keep it in mind, keep what one you want to go to, what one you want to attempt, start walking, start doing things slowly, don't rush into it. There's no point rushing, you know, slow and steady wins the race. You don't have to be the hare, you can be the turtle or tortoise, you know, whichever one you want. But yeah, you don't have to rush it, just go at a good pace, and you can do it in the end. So for those watching, you know, if this terribly lazy, depressed individual, mentally broken individual is able to do it, then you've got a chance, definitely. But yeah, like I said, if you relapse back into it, that's fine, it's all good. To err is human. You know, we all have our faults, we all have our difficulties, and that's the point of human nature in the end. So if you fall back into bad habits, it's okay. Take your time, don't worry, don't get too stressed, because it happens to the best of us. It happened to me more than several times. So yeah, and I apologise if this video gets a bit down in the dumps, depressing type, but I'm just going to be open and honest about things, because honesty is the best policy when it comes to this stuff. So yeah. And I'm finally wearing this tee. It's a little bit big, I'll be honest, tiny bit, but I've had it for like 3 years and I've never worn it, and I've always wanted to. But yeah, anyway, I was thinking about this after I finished recording, like that little segment. Oh my god, this is out. But one of the habits that we can sort of fall into is the fact of wearing clothes that accommodate to how we feel. You know, I do it very often, even nowadays I do it, you know. No matter how much someone might say, you know, great job, you look amazing, I still fall into those habits. You know, I still have double XL t-shirts and larger than that I still kind of wear at points in time. And I think it's just because of our mental side to it. It's very difficult to overcome. So if you do that and you wear, you know, really oversized or big clothes for yourself, don't worry, it's fine. It's just that mental side, and it's very difficult to switch that off. You know, it's why when I was like getting rid of a load of clothes, it was very difficult to let them go, because that was me for a solid amount of time. Like, those clothes and everything defined who I was at that point in time, and moving past that, even now, is very difficult. So I understand it, I get it. You know, it's very, very, very hard to switch that off and turn that off in your head, you know, to change that. It's a very, very, very difficult thing, and I know it is, I understand it. So yeah, don't worry about it. If you're covering up and everything, I did it. That's why I don't like zip up hoodies nowadays, because I used to use them to cover up. That's why I'm not a fan of them nowadays, because it takes me back to a place where I wasn't too happy, and that's why I like relate that to, or that's how that correlates with me. That's why I haven't been a fan of them for a good amount of time, because of the fact that I used to wear them and it would be like a size or two larger than me. It would mean I could put my hands in the pockets and push it out, covering up, you know. And it helped because then they're baggy, so it didn't show me so much, it showed the clothes more. And yeah, so it's just one of those things. But it's okay if you do that too, because it's what some of us do, I'm sure a majority of us do in the end, you know, to accommodate to our feelings and to make ourselves feel a bit better, and not so like people are looking at us. Even though nowadays, I'll be honest, no one actually is looking at us. I mean, they might be, I don't know, but a lot of people are like, yeah, they're not actually staring at you, they're just getting on with their days. And it's like, yeah, but I feel like they're looking at me. And it's very difficult to get that out of your head as well. But you've got this, honestly, like, you can do it. It's very difficult, it's very hard to move on and move past that point mentally, but you can do it. You know, I've still got at least like 15 things that are like that I need to get rid of. It's just, oh God, it's hard. I know it's hard. So yeah. We'll get there, it's okay. But yeah, you've got this, like you do. If you're trying to lose weight, you can do it, you really can. Don't let other people's opinions and whatever get you. Don't let people's things that they say get you. Just keep your eyes on your goal and focus on them. I'm not gonna swear because that's not great, but you know what I mean. You can just say them, you know. Because honestly, your opinion is what matters the most, and how you feel about yourself is what matters the most. And if you feel happy, that's good. Don't let other people's opinions and things cloud that judgment and that thought process. If you're happy with yourself, good. Don't change anything. If you're not too happy with yourself, work on it a little. It's completely fine. And don't take my advice to heart, because this is just coming from someone who's been like a roller coaster of things in life, so mentally and physically. So, but yeah. You've got this. Good job if you have lost some weight, or if you're down like 5 pounds in a month, good job. If you're down 10, great. don't try and overdo it. Don't rush it. You know, there's no need to rush it or force yourself to like starve or things, you know. Just cut down on some things if you want to. Replace them with others that might be healthier options and just go along with that. Don't force yourself to do things, you know. And yeah, keep it up. So I thought I'd be a little festive, I suppose, and put on my Grinch like sweater, because it is December now, because it's been like 3 weeks or so since I recorded. So I don't know if this is like, whether I need to like sit up, like sit closer, I don't know. So I thought I'd delve into the side where I don't really want to just have like a voiceover, and I apologise for like the probably like quality difference in the microphone, I suppose, but I thought it'd be better to speak like this because of the fact that it's more so serious, obviously, and it feels like it needs to have a better tone taken, or like mindset taken with it. So obviously, did I say at the beginning, I can't remember whether I said like trigger warning, because obviously there are some subjects that get to people, and people, I don't think, it's not like handling, but it's almost like facing it is very difficult, or accepting it is very difficult. So let's kick things off with kind of where some things took a downhill spiral for me this year. So I'm sure some people know, some people don't, obviously, but in March of this year, March 17th to be specific, I had learned that my granddad passed away. Now, to give you some context, I haven't had any other grandparent since I was six, I believe, or 7 years old. And at the time, you don't really know what's going on with that, because prior to that, I was only, I think, 5 or 4 when I lost my last grandmother, and then it was my granddad, and then that was it. I just had my granddad since, and yeah, he did everything and was there for everything, and then he had a stroke, which kind of took a bit of him out of him, or away from him, I would say. And it's unfortunate because they had the technology and these sort of medical facilities to prevent all of the sort of what comes after a stroke that a lot of people had to deal with. And it's unfortunate because the paramedics spent so long deciding which side it was on instead of just giving it to him, and because of that the effects took their place, and that was that, you know. Because he was very active and fit, like even in his 70s, he was still running around playing football, you know, helping out at the school, doing things like that, like doing a lot more active than other people would be at his age. And then that just did it. It took a lot. So it was March 17th, I was on holiday with my brother's girlfriend and her family. We were in Florida. It was about 8:26 in the morning, and I got a FaceTime from my mum, which was weird, and she told me that he passed away. Now, I'll be honest, up until that point in time, I felt like I was doing well with my fitness. You know, I'd come down to a weight where it wasn't healthy, I wouldn't say, but it was fine because I was exercising. I was putting on weight, actually, for once in a while, weight that I wanted to put on, which was muscle, and it was going well. You know, I'd gone through Christmas, I was happy. I was sort of dipping a bit, but I was still very consistent with it, doing at least 4 times a week of different areas, and consistently just keeping up with it and eating more protein and trying to eat more, which is still a difficult thing to do, eat more food. And then March hit, and ever since then I haven't been active. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't been as active as I was, and as of that I dipped. Everything since then I think's just taken a drop, because it just took it out of me. It really did, and it still has, and I'm not even close to being over it. I don't think. People are like, you know, time will heal, you know, but it's very difficult, because for me, my granddad was always there, and he was just up the road. Genuinely, he was like a 5-minute walk, so I'd see him quite a lot, if I wanted to just go up there, or if I needed to go up and like mow the grass or something. As much as I'd be like, you know, I'd go and do it. But yeah, I wish that I had seen him more than I did, but I mean, I saw him a lot obviously, but with university and things, it wasn't as much as when I was a bit younger. So, but you can't go back and change things. They are what they are. But yeah, it's very it's difficult. So that didn't really help, because my mindset and my mind frame since then have obviously diminished, and it's hard to get yourself motivated and back into that, because I was sort of on track to get to a point where I'd be really happy this December. In like 7 or 8 days time actually was kind of like the time frame that I timed it for, because I wanted to do a thing that my brother did, where from like, I'm pretty sure it was about February to December, he like just really went at it a few years ago, and I wanted to do the same sort of thing, and I just dropped off because of that. And there's not really much that you can do to change your mentality about that. Some people get over things quicker than others and can move past them a lot faster, but I just haven't been able to, unfortunately. So now to get into, I suppose, the more serious thing that intertwines with that and intertwines with school and everything, which I might talk about more, I don't know. It's very difficult to time these things, I suppose, or to choose when I want to record things like this, because I don't really want to, but at the same time, I've always been quite open. You know, if I haven't wanted to record, I won't record. I know things have dropped off over the last couple of years, but I've still kept that same mentality of I'm not going to force myself to record something if I'm not feeling it. So, and I won't ever change from that, because you shouldn't force yourself to do something when you're not in the mood. It's not the best to, but sometimes the mood doesn't change. So yeah. So in February of this year, I wouldn't say forced isn't a good word, but I was asked very strongly to go to my doctor, my GP, and this is purely because of the fact that something had come out that I didn't really know was a problem, I'm not gonna lie, until it was brought to the surface, because I've been doing it so often, so consistently, which isn't great because it's very serious, but I've been doing it so often, so consistently, I just thought it was a norm. I didn't think anything wrong with it. I didn't think anything was out of the blue with it. I just thought it's fine. And this was the fact that since secondary school, so for about 13 and a bit years, maybe now, I've been making myself sick. Now, the reason why I say it intertwines with school and growing up is because when I was younger and when I was born, I wasn't healthy at all. I had no immune system, like zero. My immune system was like just not a thing. It was non-existent. It just, yeah, there was nothing. So with that, I grew up very poorly, not having a great immune system. I wasn't too healthy. I'd get ill very quickly or sick very easily. It would be like a very like, that's it, I'm ill. I'd be sick, I'd projectile vomit, and so much so that to the point when I was like 10, maybe 11 or so, and it was occurring and going on, because I'd been on so many tablets and things that I hadn't had a chance to build up an immune system either, because I needed so many antibiotics and things to help me, that after I was sick, I'd just straight away eat. I'd just be like, yeah, I'm fine, I'm used to this. One thing that I thought I'd just throw into the mix of things here and speak about, because I don't think I'm going to include the entire segment, because I recorded a whole thing speaking about school and growing up, but to be honest, it feels like it deviates away from everything and away from the subject. But the one thing that I do just want to say is the fact that when I was very young as well, I was to the point of being like quote anorexic as a kid. Between the ages of 7 to 8, I was 2/2.5 stone, but mainly 2 stone for basically an entire year. The equivalent to that is probably like 25 to 35 pounds, and most children for that age should be about 50 to nearly 70, I believe. So I wasn't really in a great spot. So you have to almost keep that in mind, that I went from like one extreme to another. But yeah, I just thought I wanted to add this in, because that's sort of what started the whole downhill spiral, you know, of me going to a pediatrician and everything and being seen, to then going to the other side of that spectrum. So it's kind of like spitting in the face of that person who had to deal with that, to then voluntarily do it and by choice, because before I didn't have a choice, you know, it was just a thing that would occur. But then I started to do it on purpose, because obviously I was so used to it, I knew how easy it was, I suppose. But the reason why I did it was because of the fact that I didn't want to be at school, because I knew that if you had been sick, you'd be going home. That was like hand in hand. If you're sick, you're going home. So I'd go to the toilet and I'd be sick, you know, not pretending I would be sick, but it wasn't in the sense that I was actually sick, you know, it was just that I'd do it, which isn't great. But I did that, and I did it very, very consistently, I'm not gonna lie. I did it a lot. So much so to the point that then, you know, it became almost like not a practice, but like a thing that every day at like lunch break or just after lunch, maybe even just before lunch, go to toilet, I'd be sick, nurse, home, done, be in the next day, maybe be fine the next day, but maybe early afternoon, home, done, and just keep that going. This then continued as I grew up. Obviously, I'd make myself sick. Typically, it was then when I'd eaten food, sometimes McDonald's and things, sometimes just something in general, and it would sit. I'd feel it sitting. I didn't like that feeling of the food sitting there. It felt uncomfortable that after like 2 or 3 hours, that it was just there. So I'd do that, get it up, get it gone, and that would be that. And that has obviously continued throughout the years, that yeah, even after dieting things and changing my diet, if I felt that something was sitting there, I'd do it, and it became something that I'd do on a regular basis. I'm not gonna lie, it would be 3 or 4 times a week, if not more. So then this was kind of brought into the open, because of the fact that I was at my brother's girlfriend's family, you know, at their house, and we'd had a meal, and about 4 or so hours had passed, maybe a bit under that, and it was sitting. And I was like, I don't want to do this, but it was sitting. It was very uncomfortable, because I'd talk and I might cough or something, I'd feel it, and I really didn't like it. So I went into the toilet, did that, came out, you know, and unfortunately, it was heard. I didn't think that anyone was nearby, but it was heard. And then the after effects were shown because of the sort of retching, I suppose, and the stress on my body. In the last couple of years of doing it, the effects would show in my face, so far as I'd get like brown, not so much as spots, but freckles. I would say they would look like brown / blackish freckles would appear on my face and on my forehead and on the side, and it basically be the upper region would be coated in them, and my eyes would obviously go very bloodshot because of the amount of like, you know, like pressure and everything that's been sustained. It would build up and it would show in my eyes and in my face that they go very bloodshot and red, and that would be that. So it was then brought up as like a discussion, you know. My brother was over and it was like, you've been making yourself sick, and it was like, well yeah, like what's wrong? Like there's nothing wrong with that. Like I don't like the feeling of the food there, you know, I don't like that feeling of it sitting there. I feel bad that I've eaten some of this like rubbish food or eaten some of these things, so I just got it out my system. I was like, okay, so, and it was like, how long have you been doing it for? It was like, well, since secondary school, you know, whenever I wanted to go home, because I hated being there because of like bullying and things, you know, I didn't want to be there, I hated being there, so go home. And then it was like the realization and the faces dropping and things, and the like, oh god type of situation, because it's like, so you've been doing it because of almost like you don't like the food and the this and all of these other things, and it's kind of like, well, I just didn't like that in general, you know, I didn't want it, you know. And then to the point where it's kind of then changed into like, well, I didn't really like how I looked, I didn't really like that I ate this horrendous food for me. And then beyond that, kind of like, because I didn't like this bad food for me, I don't want it in my system, I don't want that to go into my body, so I want that out. You then learn that that's not a great thing, and that you're picking up very bad habits, and that your body dysmorphia is sort of intertwining because of the fact that you are forcing yourself to be sick. And then you are then told, well, no, you know, it's not just like a simple thing. It's like you're bulimic, you have bulimia, like you force yourself to be sick for a reason to do with food and your weight and how you look, and that you don't like the ways that you look. Like that's not great, you need to see the doctor. So then of course the next day I did, obviously, and his reaction was kind of like he was leaning forward, and then when I said it, it was kind of like he dropped right back and was kind of like, oh. And when I saw his reaction of him falling back almost into his chair, I sort of understood that it was a lot more serious, because of the fact that I had thought that it was normal. I was like, what's wrong with me being sick? Like, there's nothing wrong with it. And it's like, no, there is, because of the amount of stress and pressure and everything that you put your body under in the end. So one of the things that people normally focus on, even when I saw my dentist, I mentioned it to him because they asked if there was any update to medical history. I said, well, I do have to mention that I am bulimic. And he said, you know, well, I can't tell, because typically he's only seen a few people with that, but he said typically their teeth are a lot worse. And I was just like, well, because I'd been sick since I was young, I knew that afterwards I should either use like mouthwash or brush my teeth to get whatever off and out, and wash my mouth out instantly, because the stomach acid is so terrible. And it was like, oh, it's not a great habit to pick up, I'm not gonna lie, it really isn't. But yeah, so I have bulimia, I'm bulimic, and it's very difficult to stop. I put out, or not put out, but signed up almost for a nutritionist in February, but obviously we're 10 months on, and I was told that the wait list is now probably extended to about 18 months, so it's not going to be anytime soon that I'm going to see anyone, I'm not going to lie. The other day I did have to take my height and weight into my doctor. I say the other day, it's been like 2 weeks or just past that, but I'll throw up those clips. Well, poor choice of words.
I'm walking to my doctor's surgery, because they sent me a message asking for me to call them, so I did. They want me to drop off a piece of paper that's got my like height and weight included. So yeah, obviously I know my height, that's easy, that's done. I didn't know my up-to-date weight, I'll be honest, so I took it. I'm down a few more kilograms compared to what I was. It's the 24th of November now, and yeah, it's not great. I'm now classed as underweight, which isn't good, so I'll have to see what happens, but yeah, good times.
But yeah, there's that. But you get yourself into a bad habit of where you stop eating as much, and I was obviously told that I need to eat like 60 to like 80 grams of protein. That's like an average healthy amount, but I'll be honest, I've tried so hard, and it's so very difficult to eat that amount. Like, I don't know how people can even do like 100 or 200. Like, to gain muscle, you need to be having that amount, but it's so difficult, like, honestly. Like, I've tried it, like, there are packs of chicken or just chicken breasts I've looked, and it's like, oh, 200 or 300 grams is like 20 to like 35 grams of protein. And after that, with some rice and veg and things, I'm like, I can't eat more. And people are like, 2 hours later, you need to eat more. And I'm just like, no, I can't do that. Like, 2 meals a day-ish is what I've been at. Sometimes just one for the past like 9 or 10 months, maybe past that. And it's hard to force yourself to eat more. And obviously the more you eat, the more your stomach can sort of grow, because the less you eat, it shrinks, obviously. Whether or not that's medically correct terminology, don't quote me, but yeah, I've tried very hard, I have, but I've now reached a point which isn't great, where I am like 9.5 stone. I think I like, what, 61 kilograms, where I'm close to now being underweight, or classed as underweight. And yeah, I have like an app with like the scale that like shows you all the things, and things that were green for probably like a year or so, maybe a bit past that, you know, they're like, you're healthy, you're great, you're above average for like health and things, and now red, which I know isn't a great thing. But yeah, I didn't know it was a problem until it became a problem, because then you're told like your organs suffer massively and your body in general suffers massively, and it can take, like, some people can, you know, some organs, obviously like the liver, can heal, it heals itself, but other things can take a lot longer duration, which obviously is also your throat, but it can take a large duration of time, or a longer duration of time, which can be like 2 to 5 to like 7 years, that's a long time. And when you're told that, like, that it can take that long to repair the things that you've done, it's kind of worrying. It's extremely worrying and stressful. Obviously it's stressful. And then you're worried about how you're perceived, how you look, because I've had comments for like 2 years or so saying, you know, you look great, and, you know, you look like amazing, or this and that. And I've always just said thank you. But personally, I've never really taken comments to heart. They're always just like, I'm just like, huh, yeah. And then I just move on. I've never really been one to be like actually believing it, even though I do understand that I look drastically different. There are just a lot of difficult things that entail when you have like other health related issues. Like, I've got insomnia, which is diagnosed, which is great. Insomnia and depression mixing with like anxiety and stress, plus this is like the culmination of a terrible storm of things. Like, I've been to all things like a sleep clinic and everything. Like, I did that years ago, and it didn't do anything for me, because unfortunately you have to almost be classified as one or two things. You can be physically have an issue to do with your sleep for insomnia, or it can be a mental. It's never really a combination of the two, and it's very rare for it to be. And in my case, I was like the rare to be like type of thing when I saw the doctor, and they recommend things of like prescriptions plus therapy plus like other things all meshed together to sort of solve the problem. And I'd already tried therapy before that, so I was kind of like, I don't really want therapy, and it was like, oh, we can't really help you then. So yeah, I've been through the whole medication, everything at one point. You know, I had a video recorded years ago where I was just showing I was on like 7 or 8 different things, and I just wasn't me, you know? You know when you can feel that you are yourself or you're not yourself, and I just felt like I wasn't me. So because of that, I've since stopped. About 3 months ago I stopped almost like my anti-anxiety, or stopped the prescriptions for them. I was given like a batch that like after my granddad had passed, I was given like a batch that I needed to keep consistent with, which I've still got. You know, I was given like 3 months at a time. So when you have that, and then you've taken more than like the 3-month time frame, and then you get the next type of thing, you kind of have a lot left when you all of a sudden stop taking them. So yeah, whenever I am not too great, I'll obviously take 1 or 2, but I'm no longer, you know, getting that as a prescription. But yeah, I've stopped all of those things because I just felt like I wasn't me, and I feel like that's better, but at the same time it could also be worse, because you're left to your own accord. But yeah, in terms of bulimia, I'm just waiting to see. You know, it's very difficult and it's very hard, and I'm currently closing in on like 3 months of not being sick, which, keep in mind, for about 2 years I was doing it 3 or 4 times a week consistently. And yeah, it's very difficult. It's hard to put into words, and it's hard to explain to people who don't know, because I'd gone and seen my friends, and at that point in like August or so, I think it was, I was like 2 months-ish of being clear of it, and my friends were like, when I told them, because I didn't really mention it that much, a lot of people I don't really mention it to, because it's not something I'm happy to mention. Here I am. But yeah, they were kind of like, or one of them specifically was like, if you're sick, you know, I'm gonna stop you from doing that, which I appreciate, and I'm glad that there are people out there who are like that with me. As closed off from the internet as I have been from them, and as much as I've like shied away, they're all truly just friends to the core, and I really appreciate them. And you can make light of it, I get it. It's like, oh, you know, like, I'm gonna go have food, and it's like, oh, don't be sick, you know? But because that's the only thing you can do about it, is make light of it. But yeah, I've gone off on a tangent, but I'm thankful for those out there who have commented saying what a change to my appearance and everything, and I do appreciate it, because I have tried my hardest. to eat healthily and to be healthy whilst also losing weight, but there's that to the side which you just haven't known. And I never really do take the comments to heart, but I am very thankful for all of those who have commented on it, and for those who have worried on my behalf and said, you know, is anything wrong? Thank you, genuinely. I don't take physical appearance comments, you know, very well, but I really do appreciate everyone and anyone who has commented, whether it's saying, you know, you look great, or whether it's saying what a change, or whether it's out of worry. Thank you, you know. But yeah, it's difficult because when I saw my friends, I was like just about 2 months, and then just after that, you fall back into a cycle. And now I'm about 3 months clear, closing in on. And it's very difficult because some nights I'll wake up or I'll be there and it'll be like 2 in the morning, and it's not like I've eaten an exorbitant amount, it's just that it's just there and it will sit there. And to stop yourself and to keep yourself still and to not make yourself get up and go and do that, or to go into the toilet and just like splash water on your face or something, is very hard, because it's there, you know, like the opportunity's there and you have to stop yourself, and it's very difficult to do so. I've found myself on a lot of occasions, you know, just like, and it's very difficult. It's extremely difficult to do so, because you've been in that pattern, in that, you know, mindset for so long. So yeah, I can understand if people will have their thoughts or their opinions or whatever, you know, because everyone's allowed their own. But yeah, it's not an easy thing. When people like will just stop, yeah, it's not that easy, because I've been doing it since I was so much younger. It just became a habit and a pattern, and I didn't know it was a problem until I was told, you know, this is really bad. And I was like, well, you know, what's bad? And it's like, no, you don't understand. It's not normal, you know, it's extremely bad. But yeah, it's hard to stop, and because of that, I have stopped doing it, but also because I haven't really been in a great mentality. I've lost weight, so, you know, you go back to like 2021, I think I was like 12 and a bit stone, and now I'm 9 and a bit. I didn't realise I was 9 and a bit, I'm not gonna lie. I thought I was still 10 and a bit, so I'm a lot lower than I was, which is, it's hard to accept, because I am trying, but it's very difficult. But yeah, it's weird, because when you talk about it to people, they're like, oh, thank you for, you know, talking about it or speaking about it, you know, so strong. And I'm just like, but I didn't know it was a problem, so that's why my take on it is so different to probably others, because I didn't think it was a problem until I was told as such. And like, I'll be honest, I don't really look at myself in the mirror a lot. I never really have done in general, because whenever I have, I'm kind of disgusted or like repulsed by how I've looked. And I always think that I'm larger than I am, or skinnier than I am, or it's very difficult to describe how your mind perceives things and how you perceive them, because I've looked and I've just been like, God, you look awful, and I've just like not looked, you know, I'll just brush my teeth or look down, or just not look at myself when getting changed and things. Like, yeah, that's why I'm glad when like a mirror mists over when you've like showered or something, because then you don't have to see yourself, you know, you can brush your teeth and move on and just not have to look at yourself. But it's hard, it's really hard. And for those out there who have similar things or have eating disorders as well, you know, you're not alone. It's very difficult, it's hard to talk about, I know, because for me it's more so embarrassing, the fact that I'm like, well yeah, I make myself sick, you know, well, I'm on a gap from it currently, you know, but I make myself sick, and it's just like, well, why'd you do that? And it's just like, well, it's normal for me. So, but yeah, you're not alone in talking about it, or in having the issues or problems, you know, you're not. But yeah, it's just difficult, and losing a loved one doesn't help either. You sort of lose your appetite, lose your way, definitely. Because I know for like my mum, for instance, she lost her grandmother about the same age, who was the same sort of thing as my granddad was to me, and she said that was it for so long. didn't really specify, but she said it was longer than a few months that she was just not with things. So, and it happens to everyone, and people are different though, but I'm trying, you know. I try to make sure that I eat like fruit and veg and protein and carbs and have things that are needed, because if you don't eat as much, also your breath stinks. Like, not eating as much food, your breath, it's not great. Like, I'm there sometimes and I'm just like, that smells terrible, is that me? It's like, I need to eat something, but it's also very difficult at the same time, you know. But yeah, it's weird to me because people will say things like, you're so strong, you're so this and you're so that, and I'm just like, but I don't know, it's just more embarrassing than being open about it, because it's just like, I wouldn't wish other people to go through it, because you shouldn't force yourself to be sick for any reason, you know. Even if your reason is justified, try not to, because it's a very, very bad habit and very bad domino effect to fall into. And you can take it from me, I'm like a seasoned professional at this, take it from me, don't do it, because it's over half my life that I've been doing it for all the wrong reasons. I mean, there aren't really any right reasons, unless you've got like poison, you know, then that's a right reason, but for all the wrong reasons I've been doing it. So yeah, a takeaway that you can take from this, not best choice of words, is yeah, if you think something's normal that you're doing that might affect yourself, perhaps talk to it with like a doctor or a friend, you know, ask for an opinion, because they might tell you, nope, that's definitely not normal. But I'm trying my best, I'm doing my best, as difficult as it is, and it's a long process and a long road, but I'll try my best. Hopefully in like a year's time, I'll be at a point where I'm like, I'm happy, you know. Even if I'm not happy looking at myself, you know, because I don't think I'll ever be content with my body and how it looks, I won't ever be, but satisfied to an extent, maybe, we'll see. But yeah, that is this segment to this done. This video is going to be like an hour, I can already see it, it's going to be a long video, but it's the truth, so not much I can do about that. But yeah, I need to go and have something to eat, because I haven't. As I say that I'm moving, like I'm doing my best, I haven't eaten today, so I'm going to go and do that now. But yeah, it's hard, you know, you don't really want to talk to people about it or tell people about it. I get that, I understand that. I haven't wanted to. I've only told like a handful of people, and a handful of people know at that. So yeah, it's funny because I remember something in a group called The Lab, which is a Discord group, but anyway, where I'd posted like a picture of like holding something, my wrist was there, and someone was like, God, you look malnourished. It's something along the lines of that, and I was like, well, I do have an eating disorder, and they were like, oh. And it's like, for those who know, for those who don't, like, but yeah, talking to people can help, in some cases it can't, I get that, you know, it's difficult, but yeah, even just one person knowing, just being like, you know, I do this, and they're like, oh, that's not great, you know, you should see someone or talk to someone, like, well, that's what I'm doing. But yeah, I get it, it's hard, it takes a long time, so just know that you're not alone. But yeah, it's embarrassing, to be honest, it really is. Right, that's the end of this part. I'll be back at another point in time. You know, one of the things that I hate in life a lot is waste. I would know, but it's wasting of time. Wasting of time is definitely one of the biggest ones, because I've wasted so much, I know that, you know, but it's when that wasted time is useful, that's when it's like a beneficial thing, like being on a wait list for something, you know, even though the time's gone and it's been wasted in terms of you waiting for that, there's an end goal, there's an end thing that you get to. So I had stupidly thought that I was on a wait list to see a nutritionist, or nutritionist. So I thought I was on one from January, no, my mind, from February, from late February, I thought I was on one. but it came as a surprise that I haven't actually been on one at all, and that 9 months, nearly 10 months have been wasted because of that. And I know that people get busy and places get busy, and I know that people are doing their best, but oh god, it's like a doozy, isn't it? That like, that's just gone, and now I might be at the start of an 18-month wait list. 18 months. I thought I was over halfway there. So in short, I went to see a doctor about something unrelated to my health sort of things. It was just separate, but I wanted to bring up me after the issue at hand. And obviously I did. And they then brought up the letters, or the subsequent letters that followed in correspondence to me being referred to see individuals in the end, or an individual in relation, to my eating disorder, one might say, or one might call it. However, the first letter stated in March, very early March by the way. I really respect the fact that they were so punctual and quick with how serious subjects are and how many people are most probably applying at this time of year, or throughout the year in general. So they probably only took like 10 days for a response, of which the application for me was rejected because of the fact that they didn't have my height and weight. The only record they had was when I was 15. So I understand that, I get that, I appreciate that. You have no record, so obviously you need updated records. Silence, absolute silence, until obviously it's November and I've brought it up. Well, no, it's October and I've brought the subject up, and it's been sent off again, of which they got another letter back stating that they needed my height and weight, of which I was then obviously asked for it, which I took in, of which the place then sent another letter to say that obviously they'd rejected the prior things because of asking for height and weight. This is mid-November, I think they sent it like the 15th to 19th. And the fact that they had put, that they had tried to reach out to the individual in question, being myself, not even several times, but a multitude of times, to which they received no response. Now, I'm sorry, but in the course of 9 months, I did not have a single letter, email, text, even a text. So the fact that they've most probably attempted to call me, not on a landline, of which a number a company might use, like my surgery uses, my anything really uses. They tried to probably call me on a mobile number, and I'll be honest, I don't answer mobile numbers purely because of the fact that 95, if not a higher percent of them have been scam or spam phone numbers. I've had such an increase this year, it's actually been terrible, because they've said it's like Wales or Aberdeen or here or there, and it's all of these places where I definitely wouldn't be getting a number from. And then I have had numbers that would realistically be within this region, but the two that I've answered within that time frame have been spam calls. So there's no point me answering any more because of that, and I don't do it. Now, if it comes up as saying unknown, then I know for a fact that that is going to be someone almost withheld, or they're withholding their number because of the fact that it is probably a more serious thing or a more important call because of that aspect. I know to answer that sometimes, but the fact that it wasn't that and I hadn't received any other, type of contact or attempt to contact me is really just frustrating, because I've spent 10 months thinking I was on a wait list and that I'd been sent off for a wait list, when in reality they hadn't received my height and weight, and in the letter it stated that obviously they need this to start proceeding with my application, so it hadn't even begun. So yeah, that's where I'm currently at. But you know, it is what it is at the end of the day. Waste happens, time passes, you know, whether it's time that you wanted to pass or not, it's just one of those things. Hopefully now I can move forward to be on a wait list, even though it is extremely behind. But at the end of the day, you've just got to keep working on yourself, you know, because that's all you can do. Yeah, I mean, it's difficult. It's very difficult to be consistent with this sort of stuff, and you fall back into bad habits when you are in general trying to lose weight. Not even if you've got an eating disorder or anything. Even if you do, you fall into bad habits anyway with that, or back into your bad habits. And to be honest, that's okay. I found, through personal experience, I found that that is okay, because as long as you're trying to improve upon it, then that's a good start, you know. It's very difficult, but it's worth it in the end. Just it can take time. It doesn't matter how long it takes, to be honest, but just keep trying. Just keep working on yourself. I think the best bit of information that I've heard or seen is actually from a family member, and that was the fact that they had to see somebody. I'm not going to go into the specifics, but it was basically that individual had told them that don't eat breakfast, lunch and dinner, because you might overdo it in doing so. The best thing to do is to eat when you are hungry or when you actually feel like eating. If your stomach's rumbling, it's probably a worse sign. Not for the better, but it's a sign that you should eat because you are genuinely hungry at that point. But when you actually feel like, I actually want to eat, you should do so. But anyway, let's see when. Well, I don't think I'm going to have an update, because I was told the next time I should go back would be, or should be, in mid-January, to see if there's any progress or any, you know, if the cogs have begun. But so that's going to be a while, realistically. So it's going to be like 6 weeks. So, but yeah, I think the next part to this should hopefully be happier. It'll be an actual ending note of me actually, you know, this is going to be like an hour, realistically. Got so much to edit, but I mean, it's a journey at the end of the day. So a lot of people can just have like their weight loss and transformation type things being, you know, I ate better, I was eating healthier, you know, changed my diet, went to the gym, you know, and Bob's your uncle, you know. But it's not that case for me, you know. My uncle's John, and it doesn't work out like that. So yeah, sometimes it's longer, you know, because I see them and they're like 8 minutes, 10 minutes, like 15, 20 minutes at a push. God no, this is not. This is more of the depressing weight loss, where like I did the hard-ish stuff, like the hard to do stuff, kept at it, and then realised I had a problem along the way. So yeah, anyway, that's enough depressing talk. Oh dear. Okay, so I thought I'd do the classic thing of just adding, you know, gameplay into the background like this of Subway Surfers, because yeah, great. So this is just to summarise and end off this video in short, because it's going to be the easiest way for me to go about it. And yeah, I just thought I'd break things down into like the easiest and most concise way that I could, and you can just focus on this gameplay. So yeah, so basically one of the main parts as to why I kind of sort of really went into weight loss, or kind of pushed into the weight loss in general, is the fact that I had NAFLD, which is non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. In short, it's just to do with me eating like poorly as an overall, but I don't delve into it in the video as an overall, just because the main fact that it wasn't really the motivator for me to get into shape or lose weight or anything. That wasn't like my main thing. It was just something recommended by the doctor, but overall, just my progression of weight loss would help with it. It's just a summary, and you know, I have been. So yeah, that's good. I didn't really touch on it, but it was just something that was there, and just something that is part of me and was part of that journey as an overall as well. You know, just something that helped my health. So it's just ever present throughout me, like losing weight in the end. So to summarize my weight loss overall, in short, in 2015 and 2016, I wasn't really the happiest in the world. That progressed into like 2017, where I wasn't really happy either with how I looked and how I was. And then after recording my Christmas video in 2018, I was kind of like, wow, this is kind of terrible. You know, I need to like make a change, because I looked at it and I was like, is that me? Is that actually me? You know, I was happy with wearing stuff and wearing like my box logo crew neck. I thought it fit like really well. But then I was just like, yeah, this is kind of bad. So from that point is when I kind of really decided that I should exercise and hopefully, you know, do something about it. So I played more tennis. I played like twice a week. I then added badminton to like my routine, and then I did light exercise, and then I started to add in basically like 30 minutes or so of exercise 4 or 5 times a week, because that's kind of like a doctor recommended thing. And yeah, here we are in the end. So the thing is about the bulimia is, it's like it's obviously mixed in there because it's also ever present but longer lasting. But that was going on beforehand, you know, that was going on before my decision to do weight loss, you know, and it was before I decided to like lose weight in the end. So it was already happening, but then obviously continued throughout all of it. So it's not like anything massively changed throughout that. It's just that I had probably less volume of food going in, and it had to like deal with that or cope with that overall. The one thing that I do want to stress from this entire video though is the fact that you don't need to go onto one of these like crazy diets. You don't have to, genuinely. You don't need to go like keto. You don't have to go insane. You don't have to eat like only vegetables or something, you know. You don't have to completely switch everything up, but mixing things in, you know, eating some fruit and veg, or just eating healthily, so to speak, is good. But you don't need to like go crazy and eat things that you've never eaten before. I mean, it could be good for you. You never know. But you don't have to do that. You don't have to go drastic. But the things that I did change were things like I changed my crisps or chips, you know. I stopped having McDonald's, you know, or I had it like once a month or once every couple of weeks, and now I'm basically, I don't. You can do some other changes, you know, you could like stop having as much like fizzy drinks, you know, Coca-Cola, Pepsi and such. You could just go to the diet versions, it doesn't really matter. Like, that's a change. You don't have to cut it out of your life completely. You could go slowly with it. It's not something that you have to be drastic with. You don't need to go onto like these specialized diets in order to achieve what you're hoping to achieve. It's just making sure that you have balance in there, or balanced meals in there during the week, and that you just have some healthier options. The only takeaway that I can just give you from this entire video is genuinely just work on yourself. That's it. If you're working on it, take your time. It's okay. You don't have to rush. There isn't a rush to it. And I'm sure you're able to get where you want to, and you'll be able to achieve your goal by the end of it. You know, there's no given time frame. You can do it in the end. You've got the time. I also just want to say thank you to those who have commented over the years. Just leaving comments saying like it's inspirational, or I inspire them. It's like a motivation, or it's motivational for them to see. And yeah, I really do appreciate it. I really do, like, genuinely. And the fact that some people have said that I can inspire them, that's quite amazing, you know, and I'm glad that I can do so. You know, I'm really am glad that I can do that for you. And yeah, if you've got goals that are in mind, or goals that you're going for, you can do it, you can achieve it. And yeah, to anyone else who has commented anything, you know, whether it's in a jokey type of way, or like a fashion of that, or whether it's worrying about me, or whether it's just a nice comment across the board, I just want to say thank you. I know that personally, I really have difficulty taking comments to heart, but I do honestly appreciate any and every comment because you've put the time in, and yeah, I really do appreciate that. But I'm going to continue working on myself because since looking at last year to this year, I've lost a bit out of my face, which isn't great. But I'm giving myself time. I'm giving myself a year till next year to hopefully achieve a goal of being better in the end. So yeah, but hopefully by that point I can be happy in a sense, but we'll have to see. But yeah, that is going to cover this video in the end. So whether you've watched an amount of it, a couple of minutes, 30 seconds, whatever, or whether you skip to this point, thank you for watching. As an overall, from what I can see, I'm probably like 125/130 pounds, maybe a bit more than that, down currently overall. I want to be about 15 or 20 pounds heavier by next year. That's my goal, to gain hopefully muscle mass, but we'll have to see. But that's the long and short of it in the end. So yeah, thank you for watching this video. If you have done so, I am sorry that it's so long, because it is extremely long and I do yap like I am currently, but it is just the truth in the end, and the honest truth. And yeah, and as far as this time frame goes currently, I am going to wait about a month or so to about 20th of January to see my GP or my doctor in relation to things, and hopefully there'll be some sort of update, but I'm only expecting it to be like a wait list or something. So but yeah, that's about all that I've got from that. So thank you for watching. Other than that, I do hope that you have a great Christmas and a great New Year's in the end. For those who celebrate Christmas, obviously that is. If you don't celebrate it, I do hope that you just have a great festive time of year in general. So yeah, that is pretty much all that I can say. I've probably said enough as a given, but yeah, that is going to cover this video in the end. So I do hope that you have a good rest of your day, and I will see you all next time. Peace.